Your Neighbors is now going international with this episode number 3. Today's guest is Rick Spence from Nova Scotia, Canada. Say hi, Rick.
What are you doing?
The first thing off the bat, I love it when Turbo Cobra the other night, Gary did his interview in front of his Mustang. You're in front of the Nova. How close is the Nova to being back on the road, Rick?
As soon as I get a set of wheels, I got a new brake cylinder I got to put on there, master cylinder, and get her lined up, and she's ready to go. I mean, it's not finished. It'll never be finished, but it's close.
Yeah.
I go on vacation at the end of the month, and I got to put a drive on.
So you've done vacation stuff before. Do you take 2 or 3 weeks at a time?
I'm going to take 3 weeks, then I work a couple weeks, and then I take 2 more.
Oh, man. So that Nova is going to be done.
Hope so. I mean, it'll be upgraded as I go, but it should be on the road.
For those folks out there watching my channel that don't watch Rick, Rick's channel is TheRickFix, and the Nova sitting behind him is the bottom half of a 4-door and the top half of a 2-door. Am I right?
Right. And actually, the front clip is all 4-door too.
Okay.
It's all 4-door.
I would say that project goes down in infamy as one of the most difficult surgeries I've ever seen for a car to get cut, not in half, not like down a simple line, but like almost like you're shelling out a baked potato and doing it twice baked.
2 big body panels, that's what I call it.
And if I remember right, gosh, you pulled that apart maybe like 2 years ago, is that right?
Almost 4.
4, oh my word, it's been that long. Wow.
Yeah. Wasn't supposed to take that long.
Well, I remember watching a video where you took the car and you tipped it up on its side, and it was like Egyptians working on pyramids. You know, there was this little movement and that little movement, and next thing you know, this car's tipped up halfway over, and then I think you had a block and tackle hanging from the roof or from the ceiling in your garage.
Yeah, holding up the floor, I guess it was. I didn't have a rotisserie, so I had to make do.
I think I'm not alone, and I've talked to a couple other guys on the phone in the garage gang saying you might be one of the hardest working with the making. I don't want to make this sound wrong, but a simple set of tools do the absolute most for you.
Yeah, well, I'm only going to do it once, so I didn't see any sense in getting all this fancy stuff here, bought out and then never use it again. So I just made do with what I had, and a lot of it I couldn't afford because it was so expensive. But
yeah,
we made it through it.
Well, I'm with you on that. It's such a hard justification sometimes when you have one job and you need that special tool that costs $400 for one job. It's like, oh,
exactly.
What do you do?
I thought about getting a rotisserie, but it was in 2 pieces, but it wasn't much sense. So.
You showed a video, I'm going to say it was maybe a month or 2 ago, about all the body panel and alignment and all of that stuff, and that car just looks spot on from where I sat.
I do have one problem with the rear end. It's over to one side, but I've been talking to people, and they're telling me they were made like that in the factory. Something to do with the lateral roll. I'm not quite sure. I don't quite understand it. But the guy told me if I had factory tires, like small wheel tires, I would never notice it. But where I got the 60s on there, this wheel here actually is sitting flush with the quarter panel, and the other one is a 1/2 inch in. So tomorrow I'll pull the rear end out to see if I did something wrong under there. So because I want it over where it's supposed to be. Yeah. Or where it looks the best, I should say.
Well, I guess that you could always make a case to put a spacer on one side versus the other.
Yeah, that's been running through my mind, but I'm thinking I did some work to the spring bridges. That's what I'll call them. And I think there's a bead of weld in there, but it's not allowing the spring to go over right. So I got to take it apart to find out if that's what I did wrong. So I'm finding a lot of stuff that I did wrong now. that I got to go back and correct, but it's just smaller. So.
It's funny how many times when it's your first one or your second one, you get to redo because you missed a rudimentary thing like that.
Yeah, I find if I knew now, what I know now, knew then, it would have made it a lot easier, but I had to learn on the way, right?
It's always the mark of someone with, I'd call it intestinal fortitude, to see the mistake and go back and fix it. Because that is not an easy thing to do, tear apart something that you spent a long time putting together.
No, it's not. But if you want it to look right, I guess you got to do it.
And it's not that probably either one of us is doing that award-winning show quality kind of work, but you do the absolute best that you can with what you have.
Exactly. That's all you can. That's all I can do. You know, that's all we can do. As long as it looks good, that's all I worry about.
Well, it definitely looks good from here. In fact, I had a conversation with somebody the other day talking about your car. I think the engine compartment in your car is just second to none. I think that's maybe the nicest part on the car. I don't know, but that for me, when you show the video camera in there, that is just a beautiful engine compartment, Rick.
Yeah, that's what Matt from Face Grand there. He knew I was nuts when I was buffing and polishing the engine bay.
So you and forgive me, I watch a lot of videos and I forget who does what sometimes. So you actually polish the panels in your engine bay.
Yeah. Wet sanded it, polished the inner fenders and the firewall.
Well, when you get on the summer circuit for showing the car around, I guarantee there's going to be people just drooling in that engine bay. You might want to keep a towel handy to clean it off.
Keep the dust off.
Before you started doing body work, when I very first tuned into your channel, and I think you were actually maybe doing rocker panels on a van, or there was something you were doing that was body work related, but most of the time you talked about mechanic work that you were doing for people. I'm going to put the quotes up, in your spare time. Are you still doing mechanic work for folks?
I try to stay away from it because I'm not a licensed mechanic, and I just worry about something breaking later, so I got totally away from it.
Where did you pick that up? Is that something just as a kid you fiddled around with cars?
Yeah, just always fix my own, or tried to. Didn't always work, but yeah, I'm not a mechanic. I just know the basics. That's about it.
Let's see. The Porsche. You painted that, I'm going to guess that was a year and a half or 2 years ago?
2 years, I think.
2 years ago, and that was a 944 if I remember right. How did that come about that you painted that car? I know, was it a friend of yours?
Yeah, a guy I know. I was heading home from work in a snowstorm and I passed my truck for 9 hours, and he came and picked me up in his tractor, and we've been friends ever since. So, and he bought the car he always wanted for, so he found one, and there were some pits in the paint, so when we started sanding it, it just started to peel. So we had to do a whole job on it. And that car didn't want to take paint good at all.
No, I remember you had a bunch of issues with it, but it was one of those, I think that was a trademark TheRickFix kind of moment. You just kept hammering it till you got the result that you needed to get.
I had some great advice from our friend Milo on that one. He told me that I could save that paint job, and it did not look like it could save, but he told me what to do. I talked to him on the phone for an hour. Great conversation. And he told me exactly what to do, and you saved the paint job, so I got him to thank for that one.
Oh man, I'll tell you, not many days go by in the garage I don't think of that guy. He had, I don't even know how to say it. He always had the right thing to say at the right time, and you know that he had been through whatever it was you were going through, whether it was body work of paint related or life related, and he had a way of telling you the answer without telling you how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, he was an inspiration for sure.
I miss that dude. I'll definitely say that.
Just, when I'm in the garage, and I'll do something that he said, told me, or showed how to do it, and I don't know, it doesn't leak yet.
Well, speaking of teachers, HPR seemed to work hand in hand with you when you first started. And I haven't seen HPR in a while, and I don't know if he's opened up another channel or if something else has happened. I have no idea. But you two were pretty darn close.
Yeah, up until January, he got sick. I haven't heard from him since. I don't know. My wife was talking to his wife on Facebook there and asked him to call me when he felt up to a phone call, but I haven't heard from him yet. So I'm hoping he's okay. When I was doing the metal work, he was right there showing me how to make the slat panels and everything. And I don't know, he just made it look so simple. And when you try to hear, when I tried to hear it, just came simple with a hammer and chisel. I couldn't believe it.
And you're talking about doing, oh, I don't know, it seemed like you guys did rocker panels and some other things and like a little rubber mat maybe underneath and then the chisel on top. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. That was amazing. It works. Like to shape metal with a hammer and chisel, I couldn't believe it at first. And then I kept at it, and then I realized you can duplicate just about anything you want to duplicate with a hammer and chisel.
It's sort of amazing, and I don't get to do enough of it, and it kind of bums me out sometimes. I love shaping metal. I think that is probably some of the most fun material to work with, period. And it's amazing once you kind of get the knack of it, how quickly you can think through how to make weird parts like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, I think, yeah, you made the wooden shape so you fold the metal over the edge. You showed that on there. I tried that. That worked really good.
So the last question, this one has absolutely nothing to do with cars or anything in the garage. What is your favorite meal? If you were gonna either fix for yourself or ask your wife or ask your whoever to fix a meal for you, what would it be, Rick?
My favorite meal is steak.
Just steak.
Yeah, I eat a lot of steak.
Okay, what cut of meat?
What cut?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Whatever she gets, she brings home, I'll eat it. Right? Cross rib, I think.
Okay.
Cross rib is my favorite.
Anything to go with that, Rick, or is it just a big plate of meat?
Oh yeah, meat, potatoes, and the vegetables.
I would have to say you do seem like a meat and potatoes kind of guy.
Well, I like the vegetables too. Before you go, you've got to thank you for one thing. That block that time. I use that all the time.
You know, somebody else. Gosh, somebody just bought a set of blocks, and that was the one thing I told him. I said, those blocks are a tool, and you may have to modify that tool. Don't be afraid to cut them up if you need to cut them up. If you need a block that's that big, just slice a piece off and use it. And I used that one as an example. I said, you know, if you got a curve and you need to do something, just cut it, you know, like a slice of bread, but don't go all the way through. And oh man, that block saved my life on the Gia for sure.
Saved me too, many times. I still use it. And it was the hardest thing. I had to buy it here in town. It cost $45 here, plus tax. And then I had to cut it up. I hope this really works. And it did.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm that way too. You know, you pay a bunch of money for a tool. The last thing you want to do is ruin it. And yeah. But in reality, the tool's almost completely useless if you don't try. You know, it doesn't work right if you don't modify it.
No, I've used the every vehicle it's done. Like on a curve like this, it works. Works great.
Do you have that thing handy, Rick? Oh yeah, there it is.
There you go.
So how did you? Did you just cut that with a handsaw, or did you use a bandsaw? What'd you use?
I used a hacksaw, and I put a plate down each side so I wouldn't cut down any further than right there.
I really appreciate you taking time, Rick, to sit and chat with us. These are always so much fun, and you know, it's fun for me. I can tell the guys, the other guys in the garage have fun watching them. Just we never get to talk like this. I mean, sometimes we talk on the phone, but it seems so rare, and it's always fun to hang out for a little bit with a fellow Garage Gang member. So that's it for episode number 3. We'll catch you next time on Know Your Neighbors. Don't let your meatloaf, Rick.
Don't let your meatloaf either.